All right, it is Monday and we are back live. Hello, 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 everyone. I missed you last week. It was an interesting week for me and my family, but I am here. I am back in action. My name is Monica Henderson, and I am the founder and creator of Minklife Motivation. And I am so excited to spend these Mondays with you. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get this party started, shall we? This, of course, is Mink Life Motivation Live. And at Mink Life Motivation, our mission is to help millions of professionals worldwide change their lives and grow their businesses by using the Mink Life Motivation Training System, allowing everyone to live healthier, wealthier, and more fulfilled. We do this with our personal business brand and network development program. And we help you get motivated, stay inspired, keep networking, and gain knowledge so that you can live a life designed by you for you. And I am so excited to jump into another of our shows. And this week, we are really kind of diving into our life, right? We're at the bottom of the funnel again, and we want to know, why is nurturing others a form of self-expression? And to help me dive into this particular topic this week, I have we're going to be really talking about it being time to calibrate your life. And to help me talk about that, just so you know it's live every week, we're going to get motivated with our motivators. So we have Marcia McCray, and she is the principal at the Brand Naked Agency, author of the Busy Entrepreneur Guide series, and a Mink Life Motivator licensed trainer. Hey, Marcia, how's it going?
Hey, fine. Hi, everybody out there.
Okay, and then we have Andrea Gewirtz. She is the Health and Wealth Thrive Strategist, founder of WellBeing and Worth, and Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer. Andrea, how's it going?
It's chilly here in Southern California. I got to be all cozy, but I'm happy to be here today. So.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Irina Strunina. She is the health strategist, founder at Smart Move 360, and a dynamic speaker from the Next Global Virtual Conference, and also just, a friend to Mink Life Motivation and an advocate for us, and just an amazing woman altogether. Irina, how are you doing?
Hey, okay, I'm here, I think. Where did I go? Oh, hi. I don't see myself, so I'm doing good. I don't see myself, though.
We see you, and that's all that matters.
Okay.
And so really quickly, I wanted to ask you guys, why is nurturing others a form of self-expression? So we're going to start with, we always start with our guest, but I don't know if you're, Irina, how about you? You're not really a guest, you're kind of like another girl in our crew, but why is nurturing a form of self-expression?
Well, I think the way how I see it, we women are nurturers by nature. And when we are surrounded by people who we feel like we can help, we can somehow support, we're doing it from most of the times from our heart. So because this is something we do from our heart, this is our self-expression, just in short, sweet way.
Absolutely.
I cannot say much more about it.
Yes. Self-expression, I think that everybody's different. So, of course, each of us have our own unique idiosyncrasies and just ways that we do things, just in general, ways that we do things that, it just depends on our personality too. It's just, we're all different. So that, the way Andrea and Irina may nurture is completely different from the way I nurture. So, yeah. That's why it's a form of self-expression.
Okay. Absolutely. And Andrea?
I'm going to kind of connect both what Irina and Marcia said, because that's so true that we do take different routes to express ourselves. And as women, we do have, some would argue, is it innate or not nature to nurture? I believe we all as humans want to nurture. I mean, my kids are pining for something to care for right
Yeah.
now, because they can't see their friends. So they're trying to sucker punch me into a puppy, a rescue. And I was counseled by some wise women earlier today that I should allow them to do this, despite my, I don't want to take care of another warm-bodied mammal, because I know who's going to take care of it. And so it really settled with me that that would be funny that I could share that dilemma, but at the same time, we also care, nurture, and grow collections and our passions, and those are all other forms of self-expression. And so this is near and dear to me, actually. When I saw the topic and knew what I was going to be doing today, I was like, I see why I was put here to talk about this today. So I'm excited. But yes, we get to fill our souls with, we want to get all sciencey, oxytocin, because we're doing something we love, right? Whether it's artwork, or is it loving another human, or caring for another person, or puppy. This puppy's going to become a saga. I can feel it. And so that all just fills us up with that warmth and that goodness to keep us engaged and plugged into each other, and of course the thing that we're expressing with. So self-expression is so necessary right now, right?
Absolutely. And I was creating Minklife Motivation principles, right? And I had this, so where all of these principles come from is how I dissected my own self first. And then I am always the first experiment. And so how that came to be was, I realized that when I was looking at my own self, it was, I wanted to be a mother, but that's not always the case for other people, right? Not everyone wants to be a parent. But I did realize in trying to make this a universal program that people do have a need to nurture something. And I thought about some of the old men that really get into their cars, right? And they're like, that's my baby. Or, people who really get into their music, right? And like that guitar becomes their, the love of their life, and they really nurture it. But when we kind of talk about nurturing, it really is all about like, how do I give myself to see something else grow? And so when I came to that definition of nurturing, it really kind of made it apparent to me that like we all are nurturers. Now, whether or not we choose to turn that nurturing onto human beings, it might be fur babies, or like Andrea was saying, our children are really kind of forcing us down this path of fur children, but it might be your collection, right? That, if you have a button collection and you want to find the next greatest button collection, and you want, the specific one that connects with these other ones, or coins, or a garden even, right? And some of us who maybe were parents at one point then have to turn our nurturing into somewhere else so we don't drive our children crazy in their adult lives and try to micromanage their adult lives. We have to then kind of turn our nurturing efforts somewhere else. And so it might end up being a garden, right? And so all of those things, which is why one of the reasons why I love that the icon for this section is a heart, a green heart, no less, is because it really is organic to who we are as humans. We have to give ourselves, and we have to give ourselves in a way that feels good for us. And so I'm excited to kind of continue to dive into this with you guys. And I have another question for you, which is, as you are nurturing, how can we care for, protect, and help nurture help those we nurture? So we'll start with Andrea this time. Trying to make sure you don't end up on the end each time. So,
thank you for honoring
those of you
how
who watch the
sometimes
show
I
often,
feel like a stepchild. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Protecting me and helping me, nurturing me in this moment. So I'm not always the summer upper. So thank you for letting me go first. I appreciate that. So how do we do it? Well, we have lots of ways. I mean, to help our children grow or help the puppies grow.
Help the puppies grow.
Oh, goodness gracious. Maybe she could a cat, but I know they want a puppy. Anyway, so how? The how really is the self-expressive part. You know, that's the beauty of the how is how do you get to help a young person grow? I'm going to use my girls, for example. And, you know, everything is upside down this year. Like, or actually, it's in reverse. It's just such an odd year, and it's getting odder and more odd. And so, them, you know, pitching this to me yesterday was so cute. I should have videotaped it if I knew it was coming. And then really settling into my consciousness that perhaps this is a way for us to get involved in something that we can do collectively and teach responsibility, because it's certainly been something that has been on my mind. Like, I would be more interested if my kid said, teach me how to cook so when I go to college, I won't starve. And so she'll get that by osmosis because she's in a family of cooks, the oldest. Everyone cooks, including the youngest. The oldest, we're all like, the youngest said to Wade one day at dinner, how are you going to feed yourself when you go to college? You never make any food. Now, this is funny that a 13-year-old was schooling the 17-year-old. And I was like, panicked, like, oh my goodness. And so a simple thing right now is everyone's learning to do laundry because I don't want them going to college and unable to do their laundry or ruining whatever I sent them. And so those little things that we take for granted, especially with young people, we must model. And it's rare for me to say must, but if we'd like an outcome in them to show proficiency, we must first model it. So there are steps, and then there's room for error because it's not going to be perfect the first time. And then teaching a love of practice because nothing is ever perfect. And so in order to really grow, we must fail. We must learn, do, fail. Learn, do, fail, succeed a little bit. Learn, do, fail, tweak, succeed again. And so I think that is one of the fundamentals that I have in my family about just about everything, be it food, baking, and I guess the puppy too. I'm worried about the failing of the puppy, really. Let's all talk about what's really. So, but it is learn, do, succeed, fail, test, try again. So
I like that.
Yeah. Now I know Irina works with people, with caregivers sometimes, when they're going through her health coaching, and has also been through the program itself through the nurturing part. So I know you have quite a bit of commentary on how we do this, and so I'm interested to see what your thoughts are about how can someone really kind of help develop and really kind of put that nurturing out there.
Well, what I learned, you know, after a course of years and experiences is that when we are taking everything on ourselves to show, to lead, to do all this, we are really taking very often an initiative from those who we care for. And if we continue doing it and they like again and again, not me who's supposed to try and make an error, but they have to make an error and then learn from their error. And if I constantly will show them only the right thing, they will not have an idea that if they make one step to the right or one step to the left, and that may become catastrophic. So while they're still in the learning process, it's much easier to make mistakes and correct them than when you're already a full-blown operation and you're making mistakes there. So and this is something that it goes across the board when we're talking about people who are not feeling well, when we're talking about kids, when we're talking about our older parents, when we're talking about people who we work with, like people who under our leadership. And if we all the time taking this initiative from them, we do not let them an opportunity to grow and experiment, and maybe sometimes they actually can come up with much better solution that we can suggest. So that's something
Yeah.
that I would like to remind myself all the time, and probably suggest others to think about it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcia?
So I would say with my son is grown now, but when he was younger, I allowed him to make his own choices, and make mistakes in the process. Of course, with guidance, you guys, because I wouldn't let him go run out in the street, say, "Oh, I'm going to run out in the street and get hit by a car." No, of course not, right? But you have to have that guidance. And then I allowed him to express himself as well. So there were other children that were quote unquote normal, just regular clothes, khakis, little white shirt or whatever. I let my son become like a goth person. Can you imagine? Yes. The chains, he was really
Full on goth.
yes, he was goth completely. And he grew out of it. But other people were like, "Oh, you're from the devil." They were saying like crazy things like that. I'm like, see, I think and Andrea, you understand this. We both went to art school and we have artistic backgrounds. So of course we allowed our children to express themselves. Well, I'm talking for you. I shouldn't be
That's
talking.
okay. We are mothers.
Yeah.
We have this very fundamental belief from our high school background.
Absolutely. Yep. Baltimore School for the Arts. Shout out. Anyway. Woo! So anyway, but yeah, so that those kinds of things, because of that background, that has enabled him to be freer than a lot of other kids that are adults now. So that's one thing. So yeah, that's it. That's what I was going to say. But yeah, even though he's grown now, so now it has grown into nurturing a toy collection. Okay, and a nutcracker collection. I've got 30 nutcrackers, you guys. 30 plus. I stopped 30 because I love them. I think they're fun. And so those are like, I nurture those things. I take care of them. I wrap them, pack them up gently and, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so like you say, it can transition. That nurturing transitions, like you said, Monica, you don't want to, I think that was you. You don't want to drive your children crazy as adults. Like, "Hey, what you doing?" every 5 minutes or whatever, 5 times a day. No, I don't think so. He would not go for that. But anyway, but yeah. So
on a funny note, so I consider myself a self-bomber parent in that my daughter is very free range, very, very free range. But we have been giving her propaganda about what life will be like after high school for like her entire life. And my husband and I have literally been telling her that we're gonna get a condo wherever she goes to school, and we're just gonna show up for all the parties. And we're going to be at all the parties. Like, so we've been having this propaganda campaign with her. It's like, yeah, so mommy's going to be at all the mixers. Daddy's going to be hanging out with the frat boys. You're going to have to call me and be like, "Mom, come get dad. He's on the yard again, drunk with the frat boys." Like, we've been giving her this propaganda that we will be like super in her stuff. I said, "I'm paying for college. That means I'm going too." Right. And that was the joke, the running joke that we've had in our house for forever, but ultimately this is not really the case, right? And how I have raised her is I want her to have her own life experience, and including now, right? And so although she goes to Girls Academic Leadership Academy, and I was the president of the board of directors there, and I would be on her campus several times a week. And we would never see each other. And people were like, "How is that possible that you're on her campus?" And it's a tiny school. The whole school from 6th grade to 12th grade is 600 students, right? So it's not like it's a huge school. There's about 100 students per grade. But I would be on campus all day and never see her. She would come home, right? She'd be all the way home. I would come home after. Daddy'd be like, "Oh, you guys hung out all day together." She's like, "Nah, I didn't see that lady at all," right? And it was important for me to make sure that I didn't take away, like Irina was saying, I didn't take away her experience, right? Yeah. I didn't take away I wasn't intrusive on her space. And so when I volunteered for things that actually directly affected children, like that was actually with the students, I chose high school, or I chose grades that weren't her grades, so that her middle school experience could be 100% hers and unaffected by my involvement. And so my strong encouragement for parents who might be listening to this is, the more you can give them the semblance of their own life and their own choices, of course, under the guise of protection, like how Irina was saying, the stronger the independent person comes through. Now, we have really amazing conversations with her about politics, about, about all kinds of things. And the reason why is because we've been able to give her this space to develop as a human being on her own, of course, with the stealth bomber protection. Now, I knew what was happening at all times, and I still to this day have secret conversations with all of her teachers. So I know what is happening. She just doesn't know that I know that it is
She knows
happening.
now if she's watching this.
Yeah.
She doesn't watch this.
Back up the bag. Well, you never know. That Monica's everywhere.
That's true. There's a Monica everywhere. But that's just it. Like, I allow her the space to make those decisions.
Yeah, there you go.
I have the conversation with her teacher on the side. Okay, she's going to come to you and work through this. Thank you for letting me know, but she has to fix it, right? She has to correct it. She has to make amends. And by doing that, we kind of allow them to have some more empowerment and a little bit more choice and give them some independence. But like Marcia was said, I'm actually planning for my transition because she's about to be out of here. She is a freshman in high school. She's an only child, one and done, baby. And so I now have to figure out how I'm going to nurture differently. And so we're probably going to get a dog, or we're probably going to actually have a dog that belongs to us full time at that point. And she's always like, why? And I was like, because I can only take care of one thing at a time. So in the meantime, we dog sit a lot in the meantime.
We are going to foster.
So, speaking of, people who are really kind of brilliant at nurturing, this week we are, going to dive into our entrepreneurial journey. And you're probably wondering, like, well, usually this is from someone from the community. And this week it is from the community, but very near and dear to us. So our entrepreneurial journey this week is featuring Andrea Gewirtz. She is a health and wealth thrive strategist, the founder of WellBeing and Worth, Minklife Motivator, master trainer, and a classically trained opera singer. And so, yes, that's her fun fact that I always try to throw a little fun fact in for people. And so, Andrea, I know we have heard lots from you, but we've never actually got an opportunity to hear your entrepreneurial journey and how you actually came into this space of being a Thrive strategist. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to share with us your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, well, it is a great honor actually to be here today to talk about it, because I really haven't shared it publicly ever yet, I don't think. And so it all began with me wanting to be this opera singer or be in music. I was really a flutist. And then in order to feed myself, my parents encouraged me to get a job, do something that could, make money if I wanted to be a foolish musician. They're both mathematicians. And I was like, well, I'll be an audio engineer. I didn't know what that was, but long story short, I did ultimately find a way to combine my passion for music. I had to do engineering at the same time. And that led me into 2 summers and 18 years with National Public Radio in Washington, D.C. as a recordist, audio engineer, and ultimately a technical producer. And I had a fantastic life going to international music festivals and being in live news events. And the piece de resistance of my career at NPR was really being the technical director for our election coverage in 2004. And that was quite a year in terms of what happened that year. And I remember sitting on the deck watching the inauguration on the 21st, and I just couldn't believe this was my life. But like any wonderful career, it had its ups and downs, it had its peaks and its valleys, and I was really busy. And my husband then, but it was full, and it was something that you can't ever take away from me. It's really helped me organize time and space, and I think has been many of the keys of my success as an entrepreneur have to do with the things I even learned being a musician, and then being an audio producer and engineer for NPR. And so life happened. I became a mom. And this is why nurture is actually such a good topic for me to talk about this week, and for me to speak and share this aspect of my story, is that I became a mom, and I was a mom in 2004 with a newborn, and my baby got carted around the country too, because I was determined to nurse, be the Uber mom. And so I was there with my husband, who's writing his PhD, and my kid had to be brought to New Hampshire in the freezing cold so she could be nursed every so many hours. Or I sent breast milk from the national conventions. I mean, think about what I did, and I was just crazy kooky. But I was really trying to have it all, and I made it kind of work. And so when my husband said, "Hey, I want to move to California and follow my passions," I was like, "Well, I let you do you let me do mine. Okay, I'll let you do yours." And I also wanted to have another child. And while my life was busy and full, I had an au pair, I had babysitters, I had lots of help to raise my first child, so that I wasn't really as hands-on. Funny how life has a way of working it out. And so fast forward, I moved to California 13 years ago, and it was my second child that actually challenged me and my concept of motherhood, what was necessary for nurturing, what was my life going to look like. And I had to make a choice, because you see, I came home from working for American Public Media. That's who I worked for in Los Angeles, after NPR. And my daughter wasn't the same child I left. She had been sick, but something had happened in the 8 hours I was gone from home. And she was just kind of listless and drooling in a corner. And we'll never know what prompted this physiological, neurological change in my child. But I was really plussed with, how do I manage now? Like, what do I not know about this person? And she obviously, I determined, needed me to really make the important choice of making sure she became who she is today. And I don't regret it. So I left American Public Media because I had to I was blessed. My husband had a good enough job that I could step away and really focus on who was she, because we weren't getting a lot of input. She didn't talk, she didn't want to walk. It was really, really difficult. And so in that need for discovery of who she was, I learned so much about myself. And the funny pivot, the day, I so clearly remember the day that I was sitting after I had resigned from American Public Media. I was sitting in a Starbucks near my home in Fountain Valley. And I was like, wow, 11 o'clock is super busy at this Starbucks. Who are all these people? What are they doing? And almost out of the blue, a gentleman walked up to me and said, "Hey, are you interested in making some money?" And I was like, "Say what? Is it legal?" And that began the beginning of a very funny friendship, because he's like, "No one's ever asked me that." And I'm like, "No one's ever asked me to make money at a Starbucks." And so began my journey to entrepreneurship and working from home. And I aligned myself with a company that allowed me to talk about how to balance, FEMLA and all these kind of things that people need. It was a product I already used. And so I was like, oh, sign me up. I can talk about this. I love to refer things that work. And thus began my journey of networking, learning how to network, what was an entrepreneur. I had to answer all those questions, all while, helping my daughter learn to walk, talk, and do all of these things that many of us take for granted. I no longer take those things for granted. I'm really happy I made that choice. Now she can't stop talking. But it came at a price that I didn't have this job, and I didn't have a job. I had to create a job. I had to create a whole new life of things that would work for me. And so I'm really excited that, because of all of the differences and the things I had to learn to help her, that I then had to address a passion of mine, which was about health. I had a very ill mother, so I was alerted to caring for oneself very early in life. I lost her right before I got married, due to a very bad autoimmune disease, and my father was a type 1 diabetic. And so all of these things about health were always there in my mind, talking to me, informing the decisions I made. Then I had hyperallergic children, and I had to learn how to make food enjoyable, nutritious, and sustainable when common things that I had grown up using no longer worked. And so here I was, kind of like a de facto allergy mom question, like, oh, ask Andrea, her kids are doing great. They're allergic to life, which was true. My husband's allergic to seafood. So I had to marry a passion for, I call it chemistry, to make things that made my children's food look like their friends, plus the things we couldn't eat. And as someone who loves food, married to an Italian, coming from a family of a lot of different cuisines and tastes and things like that, how to make these things available to my kids, though the original ingredients might be forbidden in my home. And so it occurred to me that I talk about food, I'm always talking about food, and that by a long shortcut, just to shortcut this whole conversation with you, I ended up as in school to study functional nutrition because I did know from dealing with my young, beautiful daughter who didn't want to talk, that nutrition played a huge part in her transformation and in my older child's transformation too, being healthy and sustainable and a vibrant young woman. And so with that, Well-Being and Worth was birthed from that passion of food as thy medicine, food as the fuel that really helps you have a rich life, because without your health, what do you have? And one of my big mottos is your health is your wealth. That's why I align so well with Minklife, because I want everyone to live healthy, wealthy, and fulfilled. And so it's a continuation of that. So here I am now. I get to train people how to enjoy food that really nourishes from the inside out. And that transformation really allows you to manifest everything you want in your life and balance work and career. So I am so delighted that all of my passions plus my pains really coalesced into me having this life and this new career as a health and wealth thrive strategist, because I really want every woman in particular to know that we can, with a lot of tweaks, thrive. And, you know, so there's no surviving in my world, there's only thriving. So I'm delighted that you asked me. And I'm delighted to people helping me sort of put it together for you to explain how I do the different things that I do. But it's definitely been a journey that I wouldn't trade for anything, because I'm richer for it. So.
Absolutely. And I can attest that Cleo is very talkative. She definitely doesn't miss words anymore. So all of you're nurturing her back to health, right? To actual health and then beyond. She really is a remarkable young lady, and I have been blessed to spend some time with her a little bit. And she is one of my favorite people. And I have her artwork displayed behind me. She makes these beautiful little dolls, and I have one on the way from Christmas as well. But I'm happy to, one, be a part of your overarching journey, right? We've only known each other for like 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. And it now feels like a lifetime. And you are you nurture my daughter and through her food journey, and she won't listen to me, but she'll listen to you. So I'm so
always third party. It always works.
Yeah. So
I had
like, ask Andrea. Yeah, ask Andrea if I can eat this, and I'm like, I can tell you can't eat that, and she's like, just ask her. Okay, fine. And then we have to call you. So I'm really happy that we have you as a resource in our life, and I'm happy to bring you on all of my platforms as a resource to other people. Like, if everybody should have an Andrea in their back pocket, and so. I'm excited for that. Marcia, what about, and you've known her way longer than I've known her. What are your thoughts about her entrepreneurial journey?
I think it's phenomenal how how people have these paths that are like so nonlinear, and it's like just absorbing these experiences, and then they cause us to go into a totally different direction than what we originally thought we would be doing, you know. I've known Andrea for 30 something years. We're not going to say as a little long. It might be longer than that, Andrea.
So.
Yeah, I think it is. But anyway, but yeah, so I mean, and you know, I love that you said no surviving here, only thriving. I love that. And I'm going to use that in some of my talks. And I will give you credit, sister. Yes, I will. But I just think it's because I think that people tend to they get kind of caught up into, oh, I got to just make it just barely living. And, you know, and I have to say, Monica, Minklife also has helped with that, helping you to see further into the vision and actually going for it. You know what I mean? Doing things that, you know, like, I don't know. I just want to say that it just gives you direction, clear focus. That's what I want to say. Clear focus into doing things that are, it's just, and I love that story, Andrea, you know, and,
Yeah.
oh, and you know what, you guys, I always, I, in the middle of the market, I will be on the phone. Hey, Andrea, can I eat this kind of bread? What can I do? What can I do in place of turkey? And Andrea's like, she has these fabulous recipes, you guys, and I can't wait till she comes up with her recipe book. And her cleanse is awesome. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I just had to just throw that in there.
Yeah, no, true story. So the cleanse, I actually helped her develop the cleanse. We were using Minklife Motivation as a part of the mechanism that she was using for the cleanse. And so
great.
I took it as a part, I did the cleanse as a part of kind of like quality control of making sure that like it's doing what we want it to do for her. And I lost weight, and I was not trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
And I am a horrible student in that I don't follow any rules, like zero rules. And I was like, oh, yeah, so I'm down 15 pounds by following like 3 of the 18,000 rules, you know, all the different.
I don't have rules. I have
no, she doesn't, and she's not judgmental either.
They're not rules, but they were like, "This is what you should do," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna eat off this list of food." I'm just gonna eat off this list of food, and I'm gonna make it my own. How I do we have this conversation all the time about how everything must be custom for me, and so I literally was not following, you know, to a T. Now, Marcia followed to a T and lost way more weight than I did, but I was not following to a T and still had such a great opening. So those of you who get an opportunity to actually spend some time in the cleanse, and my daughters actually said probably 2 weeks ago, I want to say right after, like right as we were making Thanksgiving dinner and it was not at all cleanse approved, she was like, "Oh, yeah, this cleanse, I don't know if we can wait until the new year for this cleanse. We might need to step this cleanse up a little faster." So when, you know, when a 13-year-old is excited for a cleanse, it's probably a good cleanse to have. Irina, you're muted, but I want you to chime in. What did you think of Andrea's story?
Well, for one thing, because Andrea is also my coach, I've heard the story before, and so I had the chance to hear and discuss all this. And I actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because everything suddenly become very quiet. Like,
We're like really listening.
Yes, but yes, and this is something that you know, this is so. In the last year, I learned one thing. This was my observation. It's kind of like one day I suddenly, like, my eyes opened. There are so many people out there who originally didn't plan to be who they are, who originally were practicing, training, working somewhere else. And then something happened in their life. There was something, and they made a change, and they switched to something that actually was their calling, was their passion, that something that helped them to grow and help others around them to grow and achieve something and get the results. And Andrea's example is one of those. You see, there was one thing that she was doing and loving it, but then there is much stronger thing and calling, and look at her right now. So it's great to hear. And actually, I'm looking forward to kind of like to fulfill the steps. I'm not the opera singer, but I'm trained in the multimedia. I'm also in the art school graduate, so I'm just following the steps.
I think, and I love what you just said, Irina, about, you don't imagine that. Like, I think many people like me, I had this great coach, was like, one day I'm going to do this. And this was going to be, I was going to be an acupuncturist, but I didn't have time to learn how to become one, really. I was like, okay, I'll come to California. I'll be an acupuncturist because that's what you do in California, and there are lots of schools, and I couldn't make it work logistically, right? Like where the school was, where we had to live, for everything. And, but I think art school and you being an athlete or just chronic learner really does prepare you for entrepreneurship. Like the people, what do I need to know to be an entrepreneur? I'm like, stick with itness, passion to do something crazy, despite what other people might tell you, and then just go for it, right? And so I'm not surprised you have an artistic background. I know a few things about you that you're working on that are gorgeous, and I can't wait for them to come out. Like, I'm like, speaking of art, that explains it.
Yeah. A little preview to the Minklife Motivation community is Irina is working on her program, and we are in the background kind of helping her develop it. And it is so absolutely just delicious and gorgeous. And I can't wait for the rest of the world to see it because she is already a phenomenal woman in so many ways. She's enriched my life, like from the moment she walked into it hardcore, and continues to do so. And so I can't wait for us to be here kind of touting to, hey, come and get it. Like, I cannot wait for that to happen. So she may have been a bit quiet about what's happening on her side, but what's coming out of this entire process that she's been doing with us is some great things. Irina, are you kind of excited to be helping those nurturers out there kind of find this new space?
Well, absolutely. This is, I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I just spoke yesterday with someone, and they were telling me, "Oh, you're so busy. It's so hard to find time to communicate with you. Poor you." I'm like, I'm not poor. Everything I do right now, I love it. I'm enjoying every minute of what I'm doing. So there's a good thing that is happening to me, and I'm happy to find myself in this community because this is something that I was definitely missing.
Yeah, it was again, I was shocked what came out of her brain when we were going through the process of talking about it and the spreadsheets and all the other things of like, okay, here's the program, and then to see her artistic side come through and really pour out into the presentation and the worksheets that are coming for her program. So super excited for that to happen. And, again, the heart space of she came in her own journey, right, through the tragedy, which is why she is helping this particular community who are affected by diabetes with this cleanse, with this program. But I get, cleanse program.
Call it a reset, because it's really like a rejiggering of yourself. It's
exactly.
You also reset, so it might be renamed again.
Yeah, but ultimately, what it really comes down to is we're all, when we're at our best selves, and when we have an idea of what it looks like to actually give love from a space of just giving love and not for the reciprocal of what that love gives, right? So like, I'm just, the act of loving you is enough for me, is what I would really like people to come away from this conversation about, and how that act of giving yourself, like Andrea gave all of her knowledge, all of herself to her daughter to nurture her to become this vibrant young entrepreneur. And when I say she upcharged me the other day, she's a young entrepreneur.
She really is.
My dog went from $15 to $25. That's a different story altogether. But when we were talking about earlier modeling, and when we were talking about earlier, kind of that you have to kind of give them the space to grow. She's been able to do that, not only by changing her diet and changing kind of the factors that are physically happening with her, but then also emotionally and mentally giving her that space to like not lean into what the prescribed diagnosis is going to be for her, but really kind of punching it and saying, no, that is not a factor for you, there's only thriving around me, and you are going to do everything you want to do no matter what those doctors say. So I just, if you would like to kind of have more conversation with Andrea about like all of that, or get to know, or get one of the dolls, because the dolls are popping and pretty soon the prices are going to go up, just let us know, because girl is serious about her business. So thank you, Andrea, for sharing your story with us. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Andrea.
And you know, I've heard it before, clearly, because you know, we've been on talk circuits before, but every time there's a separate nuance that I kind of listen in, and I learn something new every time. So I appreciate you. So the quote of the week is, oh wait, this is not the right quote of the week. The quote of the week is,
but it fits.
It still fits. Live your life your way, because no one else can do it for you. And the reality is, when we are caring for, protecting, and helping people grow, this is really kind of what our jobs are as nurturers. And we have been, you know, kind of talking y'all ear off about that pretty much this entire conversation. But I wanted to ask, what's one thing, just one quick thing, that you would say that someone needs to keep in mind when they are nurturing their thing, their person, their place, or their thing that they love? And I will start this time with Marcia.
Of course you would do that.
Well, I haven't started with you. You know, I can't with you two. If I pick you first, if I pick you last, I cannot. So, Marcia.
Okay, so I'm just going to go back. If it's like a child, I would say let them just be, with careful guidance, you know, but allow them to make their choices and make mistakes or whatever, and let them learn from it and not be ashamed of failure. So I think that's what I would say would be like nurturing, you know. And I still do it with my son still, like, you know.
Oh yeah.
He's grown. He's my baby. He'll always be my baby, even though he's a man, taller than me. But anyway, yeah.
Irina, what about you?
Well, just one.
Just one.
If they want more, they'll have to pay for the course.
Yup, that's right.
Because I have three. I remember I had a talk about it on the last conference. So I have three, and these are, I mean, to me, they're important. But one is what exactly Marcia said, this, and I just have the name for it. It's called open communication. When you speak to person or community you care for and allow them to speak back to you, so they know what your plans are and you know what their opinions is. So this is important, right? The second one is trust, because you got to trust them that they will do their best. They're not trying to hurt you. They don't try to hurt themselves, and they must trust you that you are coming from your heart, from your, you know, self. And the third one is equality. Everybody has a right to say the word.
All right. She's trying to drop the mic on us, y'all. We ain't got nothing else to say.
We're done. Gotta go.
We're done. Show's over.
I couldn't select my apologies. I wanted all three.
Andrea, did you want to contribute?
Well, let's see. Is there anything left? No.
Right.
So really, Irina, those 3 points are brilliant. Absolutely. And to the point of, and I think everybody cleanse, like when I think of a universal, and people are like, you didn't make me. And I said, I refrain from ever doing that.
That's right.
Instead, I want you to choose, test, and if it works, great. If it didn't work, it can always be better. And so that sort of, you know, that I call it agency, really leaning into your agency always. Like, what is your gut telling you? Okay, go with it. What is, and even if you go with it and it didn't lead you where you thought it might, okay, you got someplace else. I wouldn't be here today if I just didn't go with my gut, rely on my ability to question, probe, and redirect if it's not going the way I want. I wouldn't be here today. So that, I think gifting that to the things we care about is tantamount and paramount for success. Because if that person that we are caring about lacks agency, they unfortunately won't thrive as well as we would like. So that's my big
Yeah.
thing. It's creating that agency in all of us to live in our truth. So, and
Yeah, and I
change
would,
the way of it changes. It's okay.
all of that you guys have said is 100% true. And I would probably add, right, that when you are considering to start to nurture someone else or something else, remember to think of the end result. Because when you understand what you are trying to achieve, it's a lot easier to order your steps. And this is how we've made this program, inside versus out, right? Like the end first, and then you make your steps in that way. And it doesn't, and it extends exactly in that same way to nurturing gardens, to nurturing, if you have the thought of what it's going to be in its greatness, right? Then you order your steps towards greatness. And that's where you're headed. And so I have 1,001 stories of how that happens with my own parenting of my daughter. But I will say that that thought alone allowed me to skip the step of weaning from bottles. My daughter went from breast to cup, and was potty trained in the first year of her life. And so there is something to be said of when what the end result is supposed to be, and you keep that in mind. It really does kind of help you order your steps better, and it allows you to think about other things like, how can I do no harm? How can I make sure that everything that I'm doing is lending to the success of what I am trying to achieve? And so with helping and nurturing, we have a person on the hot seat who sent us a question in, and the question is coming from our friend Denise, and Denise is actually watching right now, and she said she was going to tune in to listen, and I think I've even seen her in the comments so far. So thanks, Denise, for hanging out. It's your turn. You're in the hot seat, and we're going to get to your we're going to help you get some knowledge, right? So the hot seat question is, I feel like I need to do everything in my business. Recently, I celebrated 1 year anniversary and I have great ideas, but I struggle to get those ideas into fruition because I am doing so much myself and not prioritizing. So as experts, I know this is not necessarily about nurturing, but you can tie it in however you want. Denise needs our help. So what advice do you have for Denise? And I'm going to start this time with I guess Andrea.
Yeah. Okay, Denise. So the last bit, I like the question being there. I'm struggling
Yeah,
doing
I did
so much
too.
myself
I
and
do
not
too.
prioritizing. And so to that, so much myself and not prioritizing. You have identified the maybe fundamental struggle already. Brava. Like, congratulations. Because most people, it would take us coaching to drag it out of you to get that acknowledgement. So you've done the first thing, which is you've acknowledged, I'm doing so much myself. And I would encourage you to look at what you must do that you think is fundamental and what others could help you do. And so as you nurture your business, you're going to need partners, and you're going to need other people with whom to collaborate, barter. I mean, I know what it's like to start a new business. So you're like, I can't pay all these people. Well, figure out a way to barter or to, do some work for them that will help do, that can then be reciprocated with you. There are lots of ways of, and if you want any of us, we're all very crafty here at Minklife.
Oh yeah.
In terms of what collaboration really means. And so I offer you to consider, I would love you to reframe, I have so many good things going on here. You celebrated your anniversary, congratulations. And you want to grow now. So look at who can help you grow and, give those tasks to other people that take you more time. And so I'm sure Monica and Marcia will agree, and so will Irina. But they're going to add other good points too. But that is fundamentally, and good for you for noticing that. So, and absolutely refrain from being super hard on yourself, because there's nothing like birthing a baby is like birthing a business, and I don't know which one's harder. because I don't know, at least contractions end. Birthing a business. I don't know.
Marcia?
I would say, I guess to piggyback off of Monica, she was saying about how seeing the end and then kind of like going back to where you started. I mean, where you are now. So basically, I would think about creating steps like that would get you to where you want to go. So what I do, I use a planner. I use my planner. I don't know if you use a planner, Denise, but I use a planner, and I state exactly, I make a list of things that I want to do, but then I go back and I number them. Like I do A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, whatever. And that's how I prioritize. And also, Andrea, that was an excellent point as well. What can you take off your plate? Because you're not going to be able to do everything. And just like she said, you can collaborate or, find people, get it active in networking. And after a swift kick in the butt from Andrea and Monica, networking, I had to go out and start doing that. And so thank God now I've been able to take stuff off my plate because I was really struggling and I was stuck. So I would suggest you to maybe, like write those things down and then maybe number them, what you want to do, which ones will get you closer to the goal that you want to achieve in your life, at the end, to get you to that end vision. So
Perfect. Irina, did you want to chime in?
Well, I actually, to add a little bit to what Andrea said and Marcia said, there is talking about making a list, and this is something that really kind of helps. Yes, you have something in mind at the end, but businesses never stop growing, so
that's
you
right.
really cannot achieve the goal. You just know the direction, general direction. Right. But here is the list that I think will be helpful if you make, that has like everything what you do, starting from making phone calls, writing emails, cooking, everything, and then figure out what is the parts that you cannot really live without, including the business parts, and then what are the ones that great if they are done, but they could wait a little bit, and then the ones that, okay, these could wait for a while, and just separate it all, and then start focusing at one thing at a time. And that one thing, if you don't, as you said, to get everything by like at the same time, I know the squirrels are all over and I'm guilty of it, but if we manage to focus on one thing, it may take just 7 minutes to finish it, and then move to the next one, and that will help to clean the plate much faster.
Yeah, and so to piggyback on Irina's list, right? So she had you write down all of the things. Then I want you to look at that same list and figure out, is it absolutely necessary for me to be the person to do this?
Yep, that's right.
Do I have to do it, or can somebody else do this, and can they do it better than me?
Yep,
a lot of the times as entrepreneurs, we wear all of the hats, right? We want to be the person who does the marketing. We want to be the person who does this, the that, the other. And we still got to, cook and clean for the kids. And we also got to make sure that we talk to our girlfriends, and we got to hold space for them, and this, that, or the other. And the reality is you don't have to do all of the things in order for your business to go better, which is why Leanne is my backbone in this business. Before Leanne, I was doing all the things. And then after Leanne, I was like, oh, this is great. I don't have to be the one to convert this PowerPoint 24 different times. Someone else can do that for me, right? I have the book of information. I just need someone to pop the information into the slides where I need them to go, right? I don't have to be the person who actually crops these videos and puts all of the postings on Minklife Motivation. I have Alana to do that. And Alana will go in and she'll make sure that everything is detail oriented, which is a way that I am not, my brain does not work in that way. She's gonna make sure the hashtags are right. She's gonna make sure it's posted on all the different places, the YouTube, this, that, and the other. And the amount of money, the energy exchange that I am getting for the amount of money that I am paying is comparable to me duplicating myself several times, right? So for every minute that I don't have to spend working on my social media, because Alana hasn't, is another minute that I can spend in working directly with the client, helping Irina create her program, right? Helping Andrea with the next iteration of her program, helping Marcia develop her workshop, right? And so if I'm not doing those things, then I can actually spend where my genius is. And so for you, Denise, I
Yeah,
really want
it's
you to
true.
think about where your genius is and where you cannot be replaced. And then everything else needs to be replaced with someone else.
Excellent point.
Because the amount of money you are actually losing by holding on to those things is
Yep.
substantially more than the amount of money that you're going to spend out in the process, right? So I hope that answered your
That's
question, Denise. And you know what? We like Andrea was saying, us girls over here at Minklife Motivation, and guys, we have a couple guys now. Our crew is all about kind of loving and holding and supporting each other. And Marcia and I were having a conversation earlier about, she's like, you know what? We haven't been talking enough about is how Minklife Motivation helps you scale, helps you figure out
Yes,
how
because it has
you can
helped
do
me.
more with less, right? And so this is my opportunity to bring that conversation right back to what we were talking about earlier, which is you want to be able to actually nurture the people in your lives. And if you are pent up in your own business and not able to actually be there, be present for the people in your lives, then you are not doing yourself a service. So obviously if you're feeling that way, it is time for you to kind of create an action plan. And we can do that at Minklife Motivation. But those of you who are interested in having your questions answered and you're going to listen to us live, feel free to actually pop onto our website at minklifemotivationlive.com, minklifemotivation.com/live. Drop a little note to us, and just like Denise, you'll have your questions answered right away on the very next show. And I want to take a little second to do our announcements. So what is happening in the world? I know we are at the end of the year. Most businesses are like either I call it the junk drawer part of the year, right? Where you kind of like go back and you talk to all the people you forgot to continue to keep followed up with, and you go back and you finish some forms that you said you were going to do and you never got a chance to do. And oh, yeah, that accountant's going to want stuff from me pretty soon. So let me go ahead and whip that up while I have a little bit of downtime because everybody else is thinking about eggnog. So what is happening in all of y'all's area, in your different areas in your businesses, and what do we have to look forward to in your space? Andrea, do you want to go first?
Sure, I would love to. So I couldn't agree with you more about the junk drawer and getting all the end of the year things together. And in that summation of what you're checking off and on your wish list, I hope you're on it, and I would love to be a part of that. So if you are, as we said here at Minklife, struggling with all of those things, life, personal, business, we have solutions, and I can help facilitate access to many of them. Namely, I am preparing people to go into a cleanse. It's going to start January the 22nd. So the marketing is starting for that. And I'm also looking for people this month who really want personalized treatment too. We're going to put my Calendly link in. I don't know, Alana's a magician. She's putting it somewhere, and you can book time with me to really discuss some of the things. If you want to work on your journey from business, working someplace here and coming into your own business, I'd love to help with that coaching and, of course, health coaching. And so my link will get you some time with me. It's a 30-minute call, and we will dig into what you need. And that's my December offerings. So, because we know January is going to be all about the cleanse and our conference and all those good things. So that's what I have going on. I'm really excited. So I have two spots left. I take 3 this month, and I have 2 spots left. So call me.
Awesome. And Marcia, what you got going on?
So this Thursday, December 10th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m., I am speaking. I'm doing a workshop. It is called Drop That Anchor, Build Your Brand. So you guys, if you need help building your brand, check out C4 After Hours. It's actually C4 Networking Explosion. So I will send that to Alana. Alana, I'm going to send you the link to that. And yeah, so that's.
And that is that
What
6
time zone?
to 8.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Eastern Standard Time. That's a little important because I forgot we're all over now.
Yes, we
Yep.
are global, baby.
Woo!
We have people in the UK. We have people who are in just different parts altogether. And so Irina and I want to talk about the power partnering, and then I'll give her some space to talk about what she's got coming down the pike as well. So Irina has been partnering with me to collect people to my network. I trust her implicitly. She has been the best networking buddy ever. And when we talk about power partners at Minklife Motivation, it really is about that, right? Where we can divide and conquer our energies to going out and finding people for each other. And so Irina and I have partnered to create this this event. It's my face on there because Irina does not want to do the talking. She just wants to get the people to go there. I will get the people to come. You do the talking. So, but we are working together to find out what it is that you are trying to achieve in 2021 and how can we help you get there. And both of us have been globally networking. So if you want to meet people from all over the world, both nationally here in Canada, in Ireland, in the UK, in South Africa, like we're everywhere. We're literally everywhere on this virtual networking. And so I want to encourage you to join us, Irina, as my co-host, if you will, for the power partnering to connect with other people. You'll get an opportunity to meet amazing people like Andrea and Marcia. You'll get an opportunity to learn about how Minklife Motivation has helped Irina's business grow and some of the other Minklife motivators grow, but also how we can help you grow your business as well. And you will be able to give a commercial about your business and ask for what you need next. And I guarantee you, if you've not been to one of these yet, you actually do get what you are looking for next. So come out and check us out on Thursday. And Irina, is there anything else that you're working on that has nothing to do with me?
No. Whatever I do has something to do with you. And but at this time, actually, you already mentioned it, that I'm working on that course. It's called Diabetes 101 for Beginners, and we scheduled that course to be launched in January. And I basically invite, if you know of anyone who was recently diagnosed with that disease, or you maybe yourself was already struggling for some time and you need to learn more about it and maybe make some changes, reach out to me and we could figure out how we can help you and how we can work together and make sure that you are moving to the healthier life where you could live normal life without much worries about what future holds for you from a health standpoint.
And it's Andrea and I know it is going to be, it's gorgeous. You're going to have so much fun, and it's not going to be a bore. It doesn't look like any health program I've ever seen in my life. It is absolutely amazing.
It is just gorgeous. I love the way you're doing it. Like, I can't wait to see the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take it just because I can.
I want to see it.
Come to the class, and then you'll be able to see it.
When's the class?
It's coming in January.
Oh, okay.
No pressure.
Yeah. No pressure.
That's how we do everything here. It's like this class. Oh,
as I said, Andrea is my coach on that. She was like, okay, so the date
first
is?
thing, gotta get a class. So, Monica's like, here it is. I was like, oh my God.
Okay, so next week on Minklife Motivation Live, we will be working through how to evolve your products and services. And I don't know what happened there with the animations, but my favorite slide with my favorite animations is coming up, and that is, y'all know, the credits. We made it through another one of these, and each time you know, I just enjoy afterwards and I'm beaming. And so thank you for giving me this space to talk at you through this Facebook lens, and to also kind of motivate myself as we help motivate you. But I want you to remember that you have the power to activate the vision within. I am so excited to be your host on this and to have my girls in the wings to support in this way. You know, Andrea and Marcia and Irina, I love all of y'all, and I am so happy to be a part of the community that nurtures you. And I want to thank everybody who has been watching this, and those of you who reached out to me when we didn't have a show last week. Half the time I don't know who's watching and who's not watching. And so when you chime in and when you say, hey, what's going on? It lets me know that this is still helping people and it's making people have an opportunity. And so what I need you to do is to help nurture me by sharing. Share this meeting, share this show, I'm sorry, and ask people, hey, have you checked this out? There's some crazy ladies who hang out on Mondays and they talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's a good time. And so please share it, because we really do have that mission to change millions of professionals worldwide through this program. And we can only do that when you are helping us get the word out. So with that, I want to bid you happy Monday, happy week. We're almost there, guys. We are almost going to make it out of 2020 alive. And so what we need to do is just kind of keep in there. We got this, and we will see you next week talking about products and services. Everybody say bye.
Woo,
Bye.
bye,
See you
everybody.
next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Next.